Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 19 of the 40 Days of Hope. I'm joined by my lovely husband here tonight. And a message tonight for anyone who just feels overwhelmed in the circumstances that you're facing. Maybe you just feel like you're just in a rut, like you're facing massive obstacles and you don't know where to turn. I just hope by the end of this that God will encourage you that you're not on your own. You would have read yesterday from Luke chapter 18. And Jesus said that what is impossible with man is possible with God. So Mark's just going to share with you his testimony of where God has shown that to be true.
Okay, thank you, Bernie. I'm just going to tell you just about something that's happened in my life. And so I go back to 2005, and I first visited Rwanda in Africa. And I went out there I went out there with our church, which gives lots of opportunities to serve. And we were in local churches, and we were able to go and visit schools. Because I'm a teacher, I have a real passion for children. And then as we were out there, it was very noticeable that not all children were in school at the time that they should be. They were kind of like just playing around with bottles and kind of having nothing much to do. And so I kind of questioned that. I was thinking, why are they not in school? And then you find out that kind of in certain African countries, not in all African countries, just in certain ones where the children kind of live in extreme poverty, that actually it's very difficult for them to attend a school because they don't have the finances to be able to go. They don't have the finances to buy school uniform or to buy kind of pens and paper and pencils and stuff. They don't have it. And there's kind of like a vicious cycle that if you're born into extreme poverty, then actually the likelihood is that you won't be able to get out of it because you won't be able to go to school and get an education. You will just kind of live a similar life to what your parents live. So these children, I kind of felt a real passion for them. I wanted to try and help them, maybe build a school for them. And I felt that God put that onto my heart. So I kind of had that. And then when I left there, you get back into everyday life and different things. And I told a few people, that I'd love to make a difference or try and make a difference in those children's lives. But kind of, what's the chances of you being able to have the opportunity to go to Africa and build a school? There's not really much of a chance there. So, it's in the back of my mind, but you live on. So I become a teacher and I do the job that I have a real passion for. And then several years later, again with our church, a great opportunity to go to Mexico and to build houses for families again that couldn't afford their own house. So we were able to raise funds. So we had to raise about £20,000 to build a house for these families. And when we did that, it kind of got me thinking back again to what God had put on my heart about building a school in Africa. I just thinking, maybe this is possible. Maybe it is possible to build a school in Africa, but where? I know Africa as a continent is huge. We need someone that we can trust. So again, it was almost like an impossible situation. Where on earth where do you start when you're thinking about building a school in Africa? Then one of my friends from church went out as part of his work to Burkina Faso in East Africa. It's a landlocked country, very poor country, and he met a couple out there, a pastor and his wife. And they told him a story. They got chatting. They told him a story that many years ago, many years before I actually went out to Africa in 2005, they planted some trees on some land they had acquired. And they planted these trees in faith, and that they prayed to God regularly that someone would come and build a school there for these children that could never afford an education. And they faithfully prayed year in, year out for a school to be built there. And of course, I didn't know that there's this African couple praying for this.
I suppose that's kind of an example of when I've been talking on the 40 Days of Hope of people answering, God using people to answer your prayers and connections. That's just a typical example of that.
Cool. And then so my friend came back and told me he was really excited about it. And yeah, I was excited. I was a bit nervous as well because I was still thinking, like us building a school is not going to be cheap. How on earth are we going to find the finances to build a school? I went out to Burkina Faso in 2013 and kind of just saw where they planted the trees, spoke to an architect and got kind of how much the school would cost, and really you're looking in the region of about between 120 and 150,000 pound. Like I know people. Our church is kind of like 200 to 300 strong. So I was thinking, how on earth are we going to raise that amount of money to build a school? So really, there's no chance. However, God is bigger than that. And even though I may have had these doubts, God was there, and actually he sorted out the finances. So we did fundraising and different things. And actually, although we had to work hard for the money, it got raised. We raised the money. We went out to Africa. We used African builders. We didn't want to be just these white English Europeans coming in building this school for Africans and stuff. We wanted to evolve the village. We wanted to involve the builders and the experts out there, and we were just kind of their labourers. So we helped dig foundations. It was a bit of a token from the English, really, and the school got built, and over a 6-year period, a school got built. Now, the first time we went out there, I was only ever thinking about a school. But we met a doctor out there who was kind of leader of the charity that we went under. And he said, actually, what's the point of building a school if the children aren't going to be healthy? They need clean water. I never even thought about that, I just thought it's all about education. It's all about getting children into school. But actually, without them being healthy, they could die. These are children that live in extreme poverty. And actually, they could come to school and die there, weeks later, a year later, and stuff like that. And actually, so we inquired about building a well, and actually, a miracle happened, really, because I was thinking, how on earth are we going to raise another £7,000 to build a well? We've just raised almost £50,000 to build the first part of the school. Where's another 7,000 going to come from? But actually, God had it in hand. The exchange rate, the difference in exchange rate was the exact money we needed to build that well. So we didn't actually need to raise another penny. God had it in hand. He knew this. And our prayer for that school is that actually these children, they had no hope. They had no hope of getting out of extreme poverty. They had no future whatsoever. Our prayer is that actually God knows them, and He's going to give them that hope in the future. And we want future leaders to come out of this school, leaders that are going to have God as their number one, and that they're going to make a difference in Burkina Faso. You need to look up Burkina Faso. I could go on for hours about the country, about how poor it is, about how dangerous it is to actually even go to school in Burkina Faso. But you can ask Bernie questions about it or whatever. It is a massive project. All I want to say is that I am literally an ordinary person. I'm a teacher, come from a working class background, if you believe in classes. And, there's no chance on earth that I had any possibility of kind of working with a team of people to build a school for poor people in Africa. However, God was fully in charge of it, and you know, he made it happen. And without God, this would not have happened. This dream would not have come true. So you may have, you know, these impossible situations. You feel they're impossible, and I can understand that. Like, there were times when we were going to Burkina Faso and Ebola came about. There was kidnappings. There were people, terrorists going into Burkina Faso schools, killing people. But actually, we trusted God. He had this in his hands, and we went for it. Even though there was lots of danger there, we trusted because God's hand was all over it. So in your lives, you know, you might be feeling that you've got no hope at the moment in certain situations. There might be people that are suffering that, you know, there might be job situations that you don't know where to turn next. But just know that God cares for you, that he knows your lives and he has a plan for your life. Okay, you might want to be in control of everything, but I've learned in my young years still that actually God knows our plans. We may have no understanding of certain situations, but God knows them. And I know I've spoken for a long time, but it's just one of those. It's a big story. It's a huge story. So.
Okay, and I'll just finish up with a verse from Jeremiah 29, verse 11. And God says, "For I know the plans I have for you," anyone listening, declares the Lord. "Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." Enjoy your reading tonight, guys, and God bless.